What up, YouTube? It's me, Average Josh, back again with another video. And today I'm about to just do a quick prediction video with the Blair Cobbs versus Maurice Hooker fight. So today, Blair Cobbs and Maurice Hooker, they're fitting to have a showdown. Both of them are coming off pretty bad losses. Excuse me, right now, I got the spaghetti, so doing a little bit of multitasking. But they're both coming off pretty bad losses, and it's a turning point in both of their careers. They know that if they can't overcome this particular challenge, then it may be over for them in regards to like having like a fruitful career, having one that's like pretty, that'll be like financially rewarding. So when you look at the two fighters, you'll see Blair Cobbs, he started off boxing extremely late. Everybody knows that. His fighting style is erratic. Like he reminds me of one of those guys in high school who's just athletic, but never really took a sport seriously long enough to really develop any type of super advanced skill at it. Like he's like the guy who's like 14 and he's like can dunk a basketball and he's faster than everybody, but then once he gets into like high school and maybe later on in high school, where he's going against seniors who had maybe started playing basketball at like 8 years old and stuff, and they're just as athletic or maybe a little bit less athletic, but they just have more like talent than him or have more skill than him. Then you really start to see like, okay, your athleticism isn't enough to carry you over the hump. And you see a lot of fighters like that who are just physically gifted, and a lot of times you see that there's only so far that those physical gifts can take you. Even though Blair Cobbs has decent punching power, he's relatively quick, he has quick reflexes, he's just more athletic than the average man. It just is what it is. It's not enough to carry him into the higher ranks of professional boxing. It's not enough. That alone isn't enough to put him on the same level as someone like an Errol Spence, Jerron Ennis, Crawford. He's not even on the level of like an Igis Kavalauskas, someone like that, who's just as athletic but is far more skilled. But when I saw Maurice Hooker is a very solid fighter. So Maurice Hooker, he's tall and rangy just like Blair Cobbs. He has respectable power just like Blair Cobbs. But the difference between him and Blair Cobbs is, although he's more of a stationary fighter than Blair Cobbs, on his last fight you saw Blair Cobbs moving around the ring. There wasn't a lot of educated movement. He was running, but he wasn't really gunning. He doesn't really know how to fight off the back foot. He kind of just moves back to get away from his opponent, but while he's moving back, he's not really setting up any type of counters. He kind of stops and he switches from defense to offense, and he kind of goes in with his face, swings wildly, gets in exchanges, and he does I don't know why he does this, but half the time he does like his best Pernell Whitaker impression, and he doesn't even like put up his hands or nothing to like block punches. He'll sit there and he'll just duck and dodge and just use like his natural reflexes and athleticism, which that is an advanced skill, bruh. And he legit doesn't need to be doing that. And I got that slap your mama here, because I'm seasoning up the spaghetti sauce. But Maurice Hooker, he's had some, he's a pretty talented fighter. He has size. He's a relatively sharp puncher. And like I said, unlike Blair Cobbs, he has solid fundamentals. But the one thing that I think that he doesn't have, that Blair Cobbs does have at this moment, is basically Blair Cobbs is extremely desperate. Like, he stopped with all that Blair the Flair shit. He's not out here just acting crazy. He is focused. And I don't know if he ever actually believed in all that stuff that he was saying. I know a lot of that was just for show, but he may have believed a little bit of it. Of like, he's the greatest fighter, he's the most exciting fighter, nobody can beat him, all this stuff. He may have believed that a little bit. I think a lot of that was just showmanship. But after Alexis Rocha basically humbled him, he comes back into this fight. He always makes weight, but he made weight and Maurice Hooker didn't. He's not doing all the antics. He's being very respectful. He seems completely focused on the task at hand. While when you look at Maurice Hooker, he looks like a man who's kind of going through stuff. And like I said, Blair Cobbs has these glaring weaknesses, but those weaknesses, especially since he's kind of like a boxer who started late, he's relatively new to the sport of boxing, those weaknesses are something that he can work on. Blair Cobbs, he just has a lot to learn, and if he could learn 25% of the stuff that he needed to learn, and he could be really focused and just decide to be more defensively sound instead of just jab, go in, make some, just be more defensively responsible in those exchanges and just not go in just doing crazy stuff like he does. He has the power, he has the speed, and Maurice Hooker, who's more of a plodding fighter who doesn't really move off his back foot a lot. He utilizes his reach, but Blair Cobbs isn't much shorter than him. I think Blair Cobbs is like maybe 5'11", 5'10", and Maurice Hooker is probably like 5'11". So it's not like such a glaring disparity in size to where he could really take advantage of that. But I'll tell you, if the Maurice Hooker shows up that just lost and the Blair Cobbs shows up that just lost and they're still the same fighters, as long as Maurice Hooker doesn't get injured, he's going to beat Blair Cobbs. But if Blair Cobbs is willing to humble himself, reach down deep within himself, take instruction from his trainer, which he has a great training staff, and work on his blaring weaknesses and really go in there as business Blair, then I think that he can do an upset. But if they show up the same way, then all that's going to happen is Maurice Hooker is going to use his long arms, his accurate, sharp punches, and Blair Cobbs is going to be dipping and dodging. He's going to start catching Blair Cobbs. Blair Cobbs isn't going to know what to do, and then it's just going to be a repeat of what happened with Alexis Rocha. But if he goes in there and he's focused, and instead of doing all that dipping and dodging and coming in all crazy and moving around the ring, using up his energy without it being educated movement, if he's willing to cut down on like half of that and really focus in, then I think we have an upset on our hands. And from what I see from him in the press conference, from the things that he's doing, I really do believe that he will upset Maurice Hooker. And that's why, bold prediction, I see Blair Cobbs winning by split decision. And I know the boxing fans don't like it because they hate this dude, but I like it because he talks a lot of shit and he gives me something to talk about. So that's all I gotta say about that. Y'all have a good day.